Welcome. Welcome to Community of Christ with the Shenandoah Congregation in San Antonio, Texas. Community of Christ is a welcoming and loving faith community. We proclaim Jesus Christ and promote communities of joy, hope, love, and peace. Please take a moment and like our video, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything, and comment to tell us where you are joining us from. Keep our contact details and share with us how we can minister to your needs. Find more information at www.seaofchristsa.org. If you would like to view past services, follow this link on our website. We welcome you, we acknowledge you, and we love you. Shalom.
I probably could have yelled at you, but we don't like yelling in church, right? Now, I'm going to invite you to take out a pen and paper if you have one, because it's going to be a very short sermon, but you're going to get 6 assignments. And so you need to really be writing down these assignments. Now, the assignments are going to be both readings and videos. So it actually means, even though I'm going to give you the nuts and bolts of what these videos say about, you're going to be actually doing the sermon yourself because you're going to be watching the videos and reading the assignments. But I think the visual experience of the lesson is far better than what I can tell you. Let's look at this picture for just a moment. If the world is to be healed through human efforts, I am convinced it will be by ordinary people. People whose love for this life is even greater than their fear. By Joanna Macy. Now, I don't know why. I've had this picture for several years. I don't know why I saved it and the quote. I guess it's because I liked it. And lo and behold, it fits today's theme perfectly. Joanna Macy, PhD, she's an author, she's a teacher, and she's a scholar of Buddhism, general systems theory, and deep ecology. Those three, do they fit together? But I'm sure they do in some way. She's a respected voice in the movements for peace, justice, and ecology. She interweaves her scholarship with learning from 6 decades of activism. She's 96 years old, and she's still alive because I looked her up. And there's a lot of stuff online about her and about all of her work and the 12 books that she has authored. So I'm going to use 3 sources today for my remarks. First is the information that the Herald gives us for the worship resources for the service today. And it includes the scriptures today from Revelations, chapter 21 and 22. There's a specific verse that I have kind of woven into what I'm going to say to you, but I want you to read the whole chapter, all of chapter 21 and all of chapter 22. That's your first assignment. And then I'm going to use a Netflix documentary story, and it's titled Stories of a Generation with Pope Francis. And then the third source is the May-June issue of the Herald, which I'm sure you already have. I received mine. It's the May-June issue, and I probably received it the 1st of May. Today's text was written for the 1st century Christians in Asia Minor, which today is Eastern Turkey. Apocalyptic writings focus on end times, and they use graphic imagery and symbolism to show God's supreme involvement in history. They were common in Jewish, Christian, and Greco-Roman communities from 200 BCE to 100 CE. The writings were not to be understood as literal prediction of the future, but rather to enable the hearers who were facing persecution to have hope. This was this letter was written to be read to the church community. Now, in the book of Revelation, we hear many visions. Today's text is the last vision in which John was carried up to the high mountain. He is shown the holy city of Jerusalem coming down from heaven. The brightness and the vastness of this city were beyond imagination, and it was where God was with the people. There was no temple in New Jerusalem because God was present. The city was enormous. Its length and width and height were all equal. There were high walls and gates around the city. However, contrary to traditional models of cities at that time, there were 4 gates and they were always open. We don't have gates around our cities anymore. I have a personal bias against gated communities. I won't go into, you can kind of imagine what that might be. And when I was house hunting 11 years ago, I told my realtor I didn't want to see any house that was in a gated community. Now, I suspect that there's many reasons why people choose to live in gated communities. I expect they consider they're safer and they can also avoid unwanted solicitations. And I do believe that we seem to live in an increasing fearful time, which is caused by a multitude of reasons, to include all varieties of media, our own elected officials, and our own friends and family that are fear-mongering to us all the time. However, I also believe that if someone wants to rob you or harm you or your property in any way, they can and they will, regardless of a gate. But give them a break. I'm sorry for their fear of feeling unsafe. So back to the scripture. A river of water of life flowed from the throne of God. On the riverbank was the tree of life, which produced fruit all year long. Its leaves provided healing to the nations. There was no need for lights. There was no night in this new creation, for God was their light. The first hearers of this letter were persecuted brutally by the Roman Empire, which claimed it reigned forever. The early Christians were now hearing that God reigns forever, and God's vision for humanity will triumph. In God's new creation, the New Jerusalem, everyone is equal, everyone has value, and everyone is welcome. It's about radical openness and hospitality. The New Jerusalem is a place where all are welcome. It's not a gated community, and it's a place for everyone. There's abundance, and there is enough for all. This new city's way of life will use its vision, this new medicine, so to speak, to heal the world's nations. And they are invited to come to see how to live in a sacred community where God is present. In this vision of sacred community, genuine supportive relationships are formed. This way of being in community is the real way to peace. The leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nations. We too live in a time when nations and people seek to build walls of division between one another. Revelation provides a vision of an alternative way of living. The New Jerusalem, the peaceable reign of God, shows us a new humanity that can live together. We are invited to create and to offer this sacred community to the world. We can have a way to live in relationship with God, with ourselves, with our neighbors, and with our planet differently. My second source is a current documentary, a movie, and it's on Netflix, and it's titled Stories of a Generation with Pope Francis. So that's the first thing you need to write down, Stories of Generations with Pope Francis. If you have Netflix, I encourage you to watch the movie. If you don't, I encourage you to go to the video store and see if you can rent it. It tells and shows the stories about 11 people who were from or had been from about 14 different countries. They're in North and Central America, they're in Europe, they're in the Middle East, and they're in the Southern Pacific. And although it's with comments of Pope Francis on each of these stories, the people are not all Christian and they're not all Catholic. The people are in their mid 70s. One of them is even 90 years old. And they tell of their experiences, something that happened to each of them. It shows their fears, their heartbreaks, their rejections, their losses, but it also shows their successes. It shows how they've been knocked down, but then how they got up. One of the persons, the one from the US, is semi-famous and wealthy. There are a few who you can tell live in poverty, but the rest of the people are ordinary human beings from all walks of life that have resources, something that we probably would call middle-class working Americans. The most important trait they each show is how they have not lost their hope or not lost their joy. And they were basically all healed. Their responses to the individual circumstances show us how we can heal the nations. And so that brings me back to Joanna Macy's quote: "If the world is to be healed through human efforts, I am convinced it will be by ordinary people whose love for this life is greater than their fear." First assignment is watch the movie. The second assignment is to take Joanna Macy's belief as your own, recognizing your fears, find ways to eliminate them, or at least manage them better, and congratulate yourself for loving this life. And then your third assignment is to get your edition of this month's Saints Herald, which you all should already have. I probably got mine on the 1st of May, and read the article by Katie Harmon McLaughlin titled "Ignite Hope. Join our spiritual preparation for World Conference." I believe that this is not only how you can prepare for World Conference, but it shows you, which starts this Saturday on the 31st of May, but it will show us how we can literally heal the nations. An international team of spiritual leaders created a spiritual preparation guide, inviting the church into intentional prayer, holy curiosity, and spiritual preparation. The questions and prayers and songs were crafted by members from all around the world. They represent important reflections, traditions, and practices, various cultures, to ignite our hope in our hearts as we spiritually prepare together with all people from around the world. The exercise has been divided into 6 steps. Let's see here. I'll show it to you. Looks like this. I know this is too small and you can't see it. The 6 steps are written out, and then it's going to give us over here something specific you can do that will coincide with each step, but it's also going to be your first thing that heals the world, your first action. Now, additionally, the 6 steps, since you don't have the Herald in front of you, there are gratitude, understanding, feelings, forgiveness, prophetic imagination, and contemplation. The article gives both children and adults specific things that they can do that relate to each of these 6 steps. And in addition, the Daily Bread that's online can offer complementary spiritual practices and questions to guide your presentation. So in case you didn't get it, let's go again. First assignment, watch the Netflix movie. Second assignment, take this quote to heart and have it become part of your own belief and system. And then the third assignment is to read the article, Ignite Hope, that's in this current issue of the Herald. Your fourth assignment is to watch the presidency's video invitation to this guide, which they've prepared for World Conference. And it's online, and you need to write this down, seaofchrist.org/2025-World Conference. Now, I've watched this video and I reviewed the guide. And while it was created for spiritual preparation for a World Conference, I believe that these 6 steps are those that will also help us heal the nations. So your fifth assignment is look up in the Daily Bread that's online, click on any of those tabs, and you will find additional complementary spiritual practices. Now, this is going to be a little harder to navigate, but I think you can find it. The sixth assignment, again, in the May issue of the Herald, is find the article that's titled World Conference to Open with Excitement. Hope is here, promising to be a historic gathering. We know one of the reasons why it's historic. We will be ordaining our Steph Graham, that's her last name, to the office of president and prophet of our church. That would be very historic. But this article is also going to give you the websites where you can watch many of the conference sessions for free. And Jim has already invited you to come to watch some of them here with him. What day? Friday, okay. So when you have completed these 6 assignments, you're going to be well on your way to truly believe that hope is here. But it becomes your first steps on how we heal ourselves and how we heal the nations.